Welcome to Lifelong Echoes, a place where we not only improve our language skills, but grow in compassion, patience, and understanding. Today, we begin the life story of Mother Teresa, a woman whose name is now known around the world, not for fame or power, but for kindness, humility, and unwavering love. She did not write books or lead nations. She simply served, with her hands, with her smile, and with her heart. This is the story of how one quiet girl grew into a symbol of mercy. Let's begin. Mother Teresa was born as Agnes Gongsha Boyakshiu on August 26, 1910, in Skopje, a small town in what is now North Macedonia. She was the youngest of 3 children, in a family that lived modestly but with strong values of faith, charity, and community. Her parents were kind, especially her mother, who often shared food and support with those who were less fortunate, even when they themselves had little. From a young age, little Agnes watched in silence as her mother helped the poor in their town. These simple acts stayed with her, not as lessons, but as a way of life. By the time she was 12, Agnes had already started to feel something unusual deep within her heart, a quiet desire to serve others. She loved attending church. She sang hymns with care. She prayed with deep sincerity. But it was more than that. She felt a growing inner voice, not loud but strong, calling her to something greater. Not to become famous or important, but to live completely for others. When she turned 18, she made a choice that would change her life forever. She left her home and family to become a missionary. She never saw her mother or sister again. It was a quiet, painful goodbye, but one made with peace and purpose. Agnes joined the Sisters of Loreto, a community of Catholic nuns known for their dedication to teaching. She traveled to Ireland, where she learned English and trained for her new life of service. Later, she was sent to India, a land full of color, contrast, and deep need. She arrived in Calcutta, now Kolkata, in 1929, and took her vows as a nun in 1931, choosing the name Teresa, inspired by Sainte Thérèse of Lisieux, a saint known for doing small things with great love. Now called Sister Teresa, she began teaching at St. Mary's School for Girls in Kolkata. She taught with patience. She guided her students with care, and she inspired them not just to learn, but to live with purpose. For nearly 20 years, she remained a teacher, gentle, dedicated, and humble. But the voice inside her heart had not finished speaking. In 1946, something happened that would forever change her path. While traveling by train, Sister Teresa felt a deep spiritual experience, what she later called a call within a call. It wasn't a sound. It wasn't a vision. It was a deep, unmistakable certainty that she was being asked to leave her life in the convent and go into the streets, to live among the poorest and serve them with love. This was not an easy decision. She had no money, no clear plan, only faith. She asked for permission to leave her order, and it took nearly 2 years to be granted. But in 1948, she stepped out into the streets of Kolkata, alone, wearing a simple white sari with a blue border, and began what would become a lifetime of service. Mother Teresa walked through crowded streets filled with noise, dust, and deep suffering. She saw children without food, elderly people without shelter, sick people without care. Many people passed by without stopping, but Mother Teresa stopped. She sat beside those who were hurting. She cleaned wounds, she offered food, she gave comfort, and perhaps most importantly, she made them feel seen. She believed that no one should die unloved, that every life mattered, no matter how poor, how sick, or how forgotten. In 1950, she officially founded the Missionaries of Charity, a group of women dedicated to serving the poorest of the poor. They took vows of chastity, purity of heart, poverty, living simply, obedience, trusting their spiritual path, and a special vow to give wholehearted service to the poorest of the poor. They lived simply, wore white saris, and owned almost nothing. But they gave everything. They opened homes for those who were ill, abandoned, or dying. They created places where people could feel loved in their final moments. Over time, many others joined her, not for reward, but for the quiet joy of serving. Mother Teresa often said, "We can do no great things, only small things with great love." She didn't build large hospitals or lead big movements. She simply helped one person at a time. She believed that being kind to one person was just as valuable as helping 1,000. Whether it was washing a wound, feeding a child, or holding someone's hand as they passed away, she treated each moment as sacred. People began to notice. Not because she sought attention, but because love is impossible to ignore. Mother Teresa's early life was one of silence, surrender, and simple service. She followed a quiet voice within her heart, even when it led her far from comfort. She gave up everything she had, but found everything that mattered. As you learn English through her story, may you also learn to listen closely, to serve humbly, and to love deeply, even in small ways, because sometimes the smallest acts, done with great care, can become a lifetime of light. As the years passed, the work of Mother Teresa and the Missionaries of Charity quietly grew. What began with one woman on the streets of Kolkata soon became a movement of compassion. New homes were opened in India and eventually around the world. They welcomed the sick, the hungry, the abandoned, and the dying. Not as strangers, but as family. Each home was simple, no luxury, no excess, only care, dignity, and prayer. Young women from all over the world came to join her. They took the same vows, not to be seen, but to serve. And even as the world began to take notice, Mother Teresa remained the same, humble, quiet, and deeply focused on each person before her. Mother Teresa was not a politician or a public speaker. Her voice was soft. Her words were few. But when she did speak, people listened because her life gave her words meaning. She spoke about the importance of love in action, not love as a feeling, but love shown through care, patience, and presence. She once said, "Not all of us can do great things, but we can do small things with great love." Her message was simple, but it touched people of all ages, faiths, and nations. She often reminded others that the greatest poverty is not being unloved, that loneliness and indifference are deeper than hunger. And through her gentle voice, the world was reminded of something easy to forget, that every human being deserves to be seen, touched, and loved. Mother Teresa's work was not limited to one type of person. She cared for the elderly who had been left alone, children without families, people affected by serious illness, those struggling with their final days. She did not ask where they were from. She did not ask what they believed. She only asked how she could help. Many people were moved by her example. Some offered donations, others offered time, but she always reminded them, it is not how much we give, but how much love we put into giving. She believed that no gift was too small. A smile, a kind word, a warm hand, these were treasures in her eyes. Though she never sought fame, Mother Teresa's kindness reached the world stage. She was invited to speak in many countries. Leaders requested to meet her. Nations honored her service. In 1979, she was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. At the ceremony in Oslo, she wore her usual white sari. She accepted the award not for herself, but for the poor, the unwanted, and the unloved. She asked that the traditional Nobel banquet be cancelled, and the money used to feed the hungry. Her words that day were quiet, but unforgettable. She reminded the world that peace begins at home, and that sometimes the people we ignore the most are the ones who need love the most. Though Mother Teresa was small in size, she was strong in spirit. She faced criticism from some for her methods or her beliefs, but she remained calm and steady. She was not interested in debates. Her answer was always the same: let us do something beautiful for God. Her days were filled with prayer, simple meals, and tireless work. She often walked through crowded streets, bent down to care for someone in need, and gently smiled, as if every person she met was a precious gift. As she grew older, Mother Teresa's health began to decline. She had served for more than 50 years, often in difficult conditions, and now her body was growing tired. In 1997, she stepped down from leadership of the Missionaries of Charity, trusting that others would continue the work. Even in her final days, she remained focused on love, offering comfort, prayer, and kindness to those around her. On September 5, 1997, at the age of 87, Mother Teresa passed away peacefully in Kolkata. The city that once welcomed her as a stranger now mourned her as a mother. Mother Teresa's passing was felt around the world. In India, she was given a state funeral, a rare honor for someone who was not a political leader, but whose impact had touched the heart of the nation. People of all faiths gathered. They lit candles, they stood in silence, and they whispered prayers of thanks. Her legacy lived on. The missionaries of charity continued their work, quietly, lovingly, across more than 130 countries. Her story was told in schools, shared in homes, and remembered in the hearts of millions. Mother Teresa's life reminds us of something simple, yet profound: that true greatness is not in grand speeches or public fame, but in the small, quiet acts of love we give each day. She had no wealth. She held no office. She wore no crown. But she touched more lives than most kings and queens. As you learn English through her story, remember that language is not just about words. It's about connection. It's about care. It's about the courage to love without needing anything in return. Let Mother Teresa's example remind you: you don't need to be rich to be generous. You don't need to be strong to be kind. And you don't need to be loud to be heard when your actions speak with love. If you like to listen and learn English more about stories, please subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell. Please like and share with your friends who are trying to improve their English knowledge.